All right, let's just get right into it. When we talk about climate change, our minds, they just snap to one thing, right? Carbon dioxide. It's the headliner, the main character in this whole story of our warming planet. But what if I told you there's a massive, often overlooked chapter in that story? A plot twist that kind of changes how we should be thinking about everything.
What if the real key to understanding where we're headed, our climate future, doesn't just lie with the element we've all been obsessing over, but with another one that we've pretty much ignored?
Yup, nitrogen. It's an element so fundamental to life that, without it, we literally wouldn't be here. And it turns out our relationship with it is, well, it's completely broken. And that has enormous consequences for the entire planet.
So what is the problem, exactly? To get it, you kind of have to think about the planet like it has a budget.
See, for most of Earth's history, the kind of nitrogen that life can actually use was super scarce. Nature had this really strict, really balanced system for cycling it. Then, just in the last 100 years or so, we figured out how to basically make it out of thin air. We didn't just overspend the budget, we gave the planet an unlimited credit card. And we have been maxing it out ever since.
But before we get into the consequences of that spending spree, let's just do a quick refresher on why nitrogen is so unbelievably important in the first place.
The nitrogen cycle. It's one of Earth's great foundational processes. It's the whole system that takes the most abundant gas in our atmosphere, which is nitrogen, but in a form life can't use, and converts it into forms that living things actually need to survive.
And what's so wild is just how fundamental it is. I mean, this isn't some minor ingredient. It's in every single protein, every strand of your DNA. It's the reason plants are green. Without a steady supply of usable nitrogen, life as we know it just grinds to a halt. It is the ultimate bottleneck. And here is the absolute key to the whole thing. In the natural world, this life-giving element is rare. The only major natural ways to create it are through the insane energy of a lightning strike or from a few incredible types of microbes that can fix it from the air. This natural scarcity, that's what kept the whole global ecosystem in balance for eons.
Well, that balance is gone. We didn't just nudge the nitrogen cycle, we completely blew it wide open.
The science on this is crystal clear. In just over a century, human beings have doubled the amount of reactive nitrogen entering the cycle on land. I want you to just sit with that for a second. We have doubled a fundamental planetary process that had been stable for millions of years. So how in the world did we do that? It really boils down to two huge industrial inventions. First, the Haber-Bosch process, which let us basically pull nitrogen out of the air and turn it into fertilizer, an absolute game changer. And second, the massive, and I mean massive, burning of fossil fuels, which shoots all these reactive nitrogen compounds up into the atmosphere. Now, this flood of nitrogen, it isn't a simple, straightforward story of environmental doom and gloom. It's way more complicated than that, with some very real upsides and some truly ugly downsides.
On the one hand, and you really can't overstate this, industrial fertilizer is the reason we can feed billions of people. It's what fueled the Green Revolution. But the bad and ugly side of the ledger is just staggering. All this extra nitrogen creates nitrous oxide, N2O, a greenhouse gas that's about 300 times more powerful than CO2. It's a major driver of smog and acid rain, it makes soils and lakes more acidic, and it causes huge biodiversity loss because a few nitrogen-loving plants just take over and crowd everything else out.
And here's where it gets really messy, because it creates this dangerous feedback loop. It's not just that nitrogen is messing with the climate. Our changing climate, with hotter temperatures, more extreme rain, is now making the nitrogen problem even worse. It messes up our soil, changes the microbes in it, and causes even more nitrogen to be lost. It's a truly vicious cycle. And all of that brings us to the climax of this story. It's where the nitrogen problem slams right into our carbon problem, and it creates this planetary catch-22. We've all heard this idea, right? That rising CO2 is basically like fertilizer for the world's plants. It should help them grow bigger and faster, and in the process, they'll soak up more of that carbon from the atmosphere. It's supposed to be one of nature's built-in safety nets. So, if that's true, why isn't it working as well as we'd hoped? Why are CO2 levels in the atmosphere still climbing so fast? What's holding the planet's plants back? And right there, that's the answer. The planet is, in a very real sense, running out of nitrogen.
The plants can't use all the extra CO2 because they don't have the other essential building blocks. It's like having all the flour in the world, but no water to make the dough. The whole CO2 fertilization effect is slamming into a nitrogen wall.
And the scale of this is just massive. I mean, look at this. This first bar shows how much carbon our ecosystems could be absorbing if they had all the nitrogen they needed. And the second bar, that's what they're actually absorbing. In some places, this nitrogen shortage cuts the planet's carbon-soaking ability by more than half. Our planet's own defense mechanism against CO2 is being choked off. So the crucial point here, the big takeaway, is that these two huge global cycles, carbon and nitrogen, they are completely, inextricably linked. You cannot solve one without understanding the other. What started out as this invisible chemical process happening in factories and car engines has now become a very visible global force. It's changing our climate, it's changing our soils, it's changing our ability to grow food. We overloaded one system to solve a food problem, and in doing that, we accidentally kneecapped the planet's ability to deal with our carbon problem. And this leaves us with a really profound question. We figured out how to create unlimited nitrogen. We made ourselves the undisputed masters of this elemental cycle. The challenge now is, can we find the wisdom to actually manage it? To use it smarter, to clean up our own mess, and to restore that critical balance before all of its cascading consequences start to manage us?